All right, let's continue on with 32 teams and 21 shows.
Patriots this time. 32 teams. So many shows to get them done in. We don't know what that number is, but we'll figure it out as we go.
I've said 5 different numbers tonight on this.
Yeah,
I've said 24, 23, 21. I'm just going to keep saying, whatever. Maybe we'll go back to 30 shows.
Yeah, it might.
Yeah.
You have a vacation coming up.
Who knows?
So, yeah.
New England Patriots. So they were 10-7 last year, second in the AFC East. They lost in the wild card round, got clubbed by the Bills 47-17. Started out 2-4, won 8 of their next 11 games in this. Of course, I don't need to tell you who the head coach is. You know it's Bill Belichick, and I can't tell you who the offensive coordinator or the defensive coordinator is because he doesn't have them.
Right.
Yes. So I can't give you the names of the offensive coordinator or the defensive coordinator because Bill Belichick doesn't have them. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, he does have Matt Patricia. He does have Joe Judge there. Who ends up calling the plays and who's going to end up kind of running that, we shall find out.
Collaborative effort.
Yeah, once the season starts. On the defensive side, listen, his son Steve has called plays for them. Gerard Mayo has called plays for them along the way. So, again, it is a collaborative effort definitely on the defensive side of the ball. So maybe we're actually going to see that on the offensive side of the ball now that Josh McDaniels is gone.
Yeah, and a couple new assistants. Troy Brown comes back, replaces Mick Lombardi, who now takes over as the offensive coordinator for the Raiders. So, still some continuity, I think, at least in the staff.
Not very active, actually, this Patriots team, which might, explain some of the stuff that we have to say about this team here. But in the offseason, they did trade for Devontae Parker. Of course, they had a very big need at the wide receiver position, and especially whenever you go into this season with a second-year quarterback, you certainly want to give him something to work with. I don't know if Devontae Parker's that guy, but they did trade for Devontae Parker. He had to get out of town, obviously, once the Dolphins brought in Tyreek Hill. They signed Terrence Mitchell at corner. They signed Jabril Peppers at safety, though it looks like he is probably going to be the third safety there for them. Doesn't look like he's going to start. They signed Ty Montgomery. He's kind of the jack-of-all-trades guy that can do the whole, line up at receiver if you need him to, line up at running back if you need him to. Signed linebacker Mac Wilson. Out of town, right guard Shaq Mason is out of town. Kyle Van Noy, who seems like he's been a Patriot for about 400 years, he is out of town. The big one, J.C. Jackson, is out of town. He signs with the Chargers, a big, big loss there at the cornerback position for this team. And then Ted Karras also leaves, and he's now playing guard over for the Bengals. So it's like they weren't – I guess the trade for Devontae Parker is significant, I suppose. But what left as opposed to what was coming back in, whereas we looked at this Bills team and we were saying, okay, yes, this person lost, this person left, this person left, this person left. Here's how they replaced them. Bam, 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 down the line. That's not so much the case here for this Patriots team, Wes. It's like the guys they brought in are certainly not one-for-ones with the guys that are out the door.
They re-signed McCourty to a one-year deal and then 2 years for Trent Brown there at offensive tackle. So there are some returners, but like you said, not a lot of one-for-one. So a lot of mystery, I think, with this team. But the thing is, they always get such respect in the market because it's like, okay, they're the Patriots.
Right.
They're going to find a way. You don't want to count them out, or you count them out at your peril, but you're not used to seeing them being the third choice on the board in their division. Certainly not. I thought Mac Jones was relatively solid in his rookie season, but he was relatively protected as well. So now that you don't have a pretty experienced offensive coordinator in Josh McDaniels, are we going to see regression or him? I thought he took a step forward. Is he going to take 2 steps backward this year?
We look at the draft, and they got by every single metric, every single person that grades out there, they got like a D or an F by every single person because
they had a few reaches.
Everybody they took, not that everybody thought that the players that they took were bad players. That was not the case. It was that they literally could have gotten them a round or two later.
The guard from Chattanooga, who they got in the first round, Cole Strange. Look, because the Patriots, because it's Belichick, they're going to get the benefit of the doubt. But, yeah, they probably could have got him like at 59 or maybe early in the 60s in the second or third round.
So, so the first round pick, Cole Strange, offensive guard, and a lot of places I saw had a third round grade on him. So he goes in the first round to them. Then they take Tyquan Thornton at wide receiver in the second round ahead of a bunch of other wide receivers that everybody had much higher on their board. Everybody thought again that Thornton was going to be around in the 4th round, and he goes in the 2nd round to them. Marcus Jones, a corner in the 3rd round. Jack Jones, a corner in the 4th round. So they took Mac Jones. Last year they took Marcus Jones and then Jack Jones. So they really like Joneses apparently.
So if Marcus Jones makes the team, are they going to have to put the full name for Mac?
Obviously, they're going to definitely have to do that. Pierre Strong, a running back in the 4th round as well. And then they also took Bailey Zappi out of Western Kentucky.
Which I thought was very interesting because Bailey Zappi, by the way, played in that air raid system. I'm trying to remember the guy. I think his name was Kitley, was the offensive coordinator there at Western Kentucky, set all these records at Houston Baptist. He is now back at Texas Tech. And Bailey Zappi, the all-time single-season yards record. And look, they were throw, running that air raid system. So, very interesting to see if he'll be able to make the transition to the next level.
And that was in taking him in the 4th round even was interesting as well, because there were some other quarterbacks.
Because you thought he might have been a 3rd-day guy.
Yeah. There was a lot of question marks around that draft for this Patriots team. I know they're going to get the benefit of the doubt. It is Bill Belichick. He has forgotten more about football this week than I've ever known in my entire life. That being said, value's value, and he did not get value in this draft. I mean, that's just the nuts and bolts of it all. So we'll see if it plays out. We'll see what this team looked like according to Football Outsiders last year. We'll take a look at the positional breakdown and how tough is this tough schedule for the Patriots. On the other side here, Primetime Action coming back. Back to 32 teams in 28 shows. I'll go with 28 this time. Talking about the Patriots and Football Outsiders last year. This is where, so we always talk about advanced statistics, Wes, and these guys are super smart. These guys are smarter than me. I understand there's formulas for all of this stuff, but I have started to disagree, I think, with some of these advanced numbers and some of these advanced metrics and stuff, mainly because I get it. I'm biased, but I do watch every single football game every week twice. Like, I do that. I watch the full game and then I watch the condensed version every single week. And I watched, this Patriots team, and somehow, according to DVOA, this team was the number 4 overall team, DVOA, in 2021, listed as the number 9 offense, the number 4 defense.
Defense I can at least somewhat buy.
And 18th in special teams, which has them come out at the number 4 overall team, DVOA. And again, like I said, the guys at Football Outsiders know way more than me. They're way smarter than me and everything else. But boy, that is tough for me to buy into.
Well, and you look at the start of the season, taking out the New Orleans game, a couple of their losses they had. That was a close loss to Miami at home. The Tampa Bay game could have went their way. Remember, that was that Sunday night game with the sleet, and Belichick elected to try that long field goal, which I thought was kind of a mistake, and ended up proving costly and not going for it. And then, of course, Dallas beating them in overtime when the Patriots don't go for it in overtime. I think they had like 4th and 3 or 4th and relatively manageable. They elect to punt the football, and Dak goes ahead and drives Dallas right down the field. So they had a lot of close losses early, and then they got hot in the middle of the season. But you look at how they finished the season. They lose to Indianapolis, and really were lucky to be that close. I think the Colts dominated that game. That was on a Saturday night. Then they lose at home to Buffalo. They blow out Jacksonville, who'd obviously already nailed it in. And then, of course, the loss in Miami. So, yeah, that surprises me in terms of those offensive rankings. Defense, I absolutely buy.
Yeah, super surprising to me. And that was one of the real big outliers for me when I've been looking back over the statistics from last year and how these teams finished up. And, yeah, that was interesting to me. If you go over to Warren Sharp, he has this as the 8th toughest schedule in all of football as we head into 2022. He has them projected at 8.6 wins. And listen, you're playing in a division with the Bills, so you have to play them twice. You're playing in a division that has, listen, whether we believe the Dolphins are going to be better or not, at least the market believes the Dolphins are going to be better.
Well, that's 3 road games to start out the season in 4 weeks. And, they could what's the current line them in Miami? I think they're a small favorite. I'm just looking. I haven't looked at the NFL lines as of late.
Hold, please.
Yeah, Kelley, endeavor.
Actually, New England is an underdog in game 1. So if they're an underdog at Miami, I got to think they'd be an underdog at Pittsburgh. They'd be an underdog at Green Bay. So, look, that's pretty difficult road games early on.
And if you look week 12 to week 18, I am, and Kelley is, and Wes, I think you are as well. Like, think this Vikings team has some potential to really make some noise this year. So you go at the Vikings in week 12. Then you got to get the Bills for the first time. You don't even play the Bills. You can't even get one of the butt kickings behind you like early in the season. You get it in week 13. Then the Cardinals, that's kind of a coin toss, right? Like, we don't know if this Cardinals team is going to be good or bad.
Because usually at the end of the season, that's Cliff Kingsbury's modus operandi. It was certainly when he was a coach at Texas Tech. They'd always start out like 6-0, and then they get College Game Day in there, and then Oklahoma would beat them in a big game, or somebody like that, some top team. So, Arizona, I don't know what to make of this team. This team's got talent, but
regardless, it'll be on the road, right? Yeah. Regardless, it'll be on the road anyway. So they'll have to fly out west regardless. Then they'll stay out here because they play at the Raiders in week 15. We're all pretty, Kelley, I'm fairly bullish on the Raiders. Think they're going to be much better this year. We know Cincinnati's good. And then, again, there's that question mark game with the Dolphins, depending on where the Dolphins are by that point in the season. But we know the Bills are going to be good as well, and you have to finish on the road at the Bills. So this schedule is very tough.
And that Arizona by the game, they do get December 1st is the Bills game, and then December 12th. So they do get like that extra time because they got a Thursday night game, and then don't have to play the following week until Sunday. But they've also got a couple short weeks this year. After the Bears, that's a Monday night game. Then they go to the Jets. And look, I don't know. It's not going to show in the wins and losses, but I do think the Jets are going to be at least a little bit better.
Oh, yeah. And I think the Lions, too, right? I think the Lions will be at least, like, competitive.
And then you look at December 18th. I think it's a Monday night or Sunday night game here. They play at the Raiders, and then they get Saturday, Christmas Eve, they get Cincinnati at home. So they got a couple short weeks here. So those are like the little dynamics I like to look for, Matt. Short weeks, how many extra rest days do you get? Because those absolutely matter when you're betting season win totals.
And listen, from a playoff perspective, from a win total perspective, if they don't have banked wins by the bye week, they could be coming out of the bye week with the season already over. Because with the back half of that schedule, with all those teams and if you're coming out of the bye and you've got to win at a 75% clip or something like that, it ain't gonna happen with that schedule in the back half right here. So they better bank these wins at the beginning, or it's gonna be rough sledding for sure. 18th ranked roster according to Pro Football Focus and ESPN. So, on the kind of in the bottom half,
that seems
they're
fair.
about middling. Yeah, about middling. The offensive line is the strength of this. Isaiah Wynn, they drafted Cole Strange, David Andrews, Michael Wanu, and then Trent Brown. All these guys, they're all proven outside of Strange, who's obviously a rookie, but these are all proven NFL starters. A good offensive line for Mac Jones there in year 2. So that's at least a bonus for him. But the problem becomes really the rest of the units, right? The receiving group, Devontae Parker, Nelson Aguilar, Jacoby Myers. I mean,
that's not a lot of big play guys.
Yes. And then you look at the defensive line. Look, Matt Judon is solid, but outside of that, Christian Barmore is still young. He's got to really take steps forward. I think there's holes there on the defensive line. The secondary's old. Yeah. Malcolm Butler, Jalen Mills, Kyle Duggar, Adrian Phillips, Devin McCourty. They're solid-ish players. But listen, outside of running backs, Wes, we know corners fall off very quickly, very rapidly.
Yeah, and I know that they let one go to Indianapolis. The name escapes me momentarily, but they did resign McCourty to a 1-year deal. So, yeah, it seems like a little bit of desperation here. Just they've always had some talent on that defense, but it seems like they've got a lot less this year.
Yeah, I'm pretty bearish on this Patriots team. I think this is one of those maybe alt win total unders I might be looking at to play this year, because if things don't go exactly right, I think there's a chance for them to be bad. Like, I think they need things to go right to be kind of middling. So we shall see how that all plays out, and certainly a bet I'm looking to get in my account.
Visit VSiN.com to get current odds, listen for free, find showtimes, and download VSiN sports betting podcasts.